Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Kieron and André about Vampire Academy, streaming on Peacock September 15th. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
This is exciting. I mean, there's not much more to say. Like, it's
So interview done.
yeah. See you guys next time. André, we'll start with you. I think it's very interesting because, you know, familiar territory for the fans because they know the novels and everything, and now the show and everything. What's your mindset as an actor? Because there's the familiarity, but then this is not the books. This is the show, right? So how do you prepare for that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, there is two different source materials for this that have come out before us that lead somewhat of a precedent. The books is a little bit easier to take as like research material, if I could say that, because as the movie is kind of within itself a film adaptation, but the books is something that you can read and you can gain a sense of essence, and it is the true source material. Obviously, Rochelle Mead built a beautiful world up. I'd say it's a little bit of both a challenge trying to keep this character who he is in essence, at the same time a very exciting journey of bringing yourself into it as well. I don't try to play it I don't try to like get Christian the exact way that I think every single person has got Christian, because in the truth of it is everyone looks at Christian in a different way, and it's all about interpretation and perspective. So I tried to get my clearest interpretation and perspective of Christian as clear as possible, so when I'm playing him, I can bring out what I really believe is the true core of what he is to screen. And I can say it confidently. I think that's everyone in our cast has done that and has done a beautiful job of portraying their characters.
Absolutely. Kieron, one of my favorite things about Vampire Academy is the genre bending aspect of this, because there's so much happening with this show. And genre bending is massive right now. It's very popular. It's very trendy. It's kind of like, remember when hot sauce was everything everyone was always talking about? You know what I mean? So how do you prepare yourself, Kieron, for this landscape of genre bending, knowing that there's a lot happening in that sphere right now? And, there's the fantasy, there's the horror, there's the drama, there's a lot. Like, do you notice that when you're reading the script for it?
I think, you do. You read it, you think, whoa, And he's like, this
exactly like that. Whoa.
That's it. Me, whoa, done. I'm going to come back to that legend. I think, interestingly, it's very story driven, our show. There's a lot going on. It's very story driven, and the story happens to the characters. It's like, but I think what was interesting for all of us, I think the actors that we all are, we approached it very character driven. And then once you introduce them two aspects together, you mingle them. There's a very interesting sort of reaction that happens there. You get a production that's hopefully all about story, driven by characters that are everyone's the main character in their life, right? And I think that's the only way you can approach it. The story happens around you, you form part of yourself in the story, and the circumstances are a reflection of the choices your character makes, but also just the world you're thrust into, right? And it's happening around us. But I think all you can do is kind of like grit your teeth and hope for the best, I think that's all you can do. You can prepare as much as possible, and
I see what you did there.
All you can do is kind of like, just prepare yourself as much as possible. And for me, the story's going to happen, Script is going to happen from start to finish. It's going to happen. The story's going to take its way. All I can control, all I can sort of give of myself is my version of Dimitri, and hope that story, and hopefully it's the story.
It's so interesting, André. You mentioned like the source material and everything. Vampires in general, there's a lot happening in that genre. People are really interested and have an appetite for all that content these days, and like horror as well and everything. What's it like working like on a show about vampires in the kind of horror sphere, knowing that the landscape for that is massive these days?
It's already placed out for you. Yeah, I always like like I'm such a nerd, right? So like you talk like the predated lore for like a bunch of like Marvel, DC, like anime, anything, I can tell you all about it. But I would like what I like to call vampires and like werewolves and like ghosts and zombies. It's like that's like common knowledge lore. Like everybody knows what makes a vampire a vampire. You can't see your reflection, you suck blood, you can't go out in the daylight, and some of us can turn into bats. some of us can shoot fire.
Yeah.
Now we can. And I think that kind of world being set out there is like super fun to play with, because you know that there's expectations there. You know that people know, they have an idea of what a vampire is. And in some ways, it's really, really fun to like also know that you're going to subvert that a little bit. You're going to show them something new. You're going to show them something that they haven't seen before. So as daunting as it is, I think it's like a dream come true. I know it's a dream come true for him to play a vampire, but it is for all of us in a lot of aspects as well.
Oh, absolutely. And before we wrap up, Kieron, I do have to ask, when they get to watch the show, because it's streaming on Peacock pretty soon, September 15th, they're going to be able to see the first couple of episodes. What are you hoping they'll get out of it, takeaway-wise specifically?
I hope as many people that aren't fans of the book can understand why people are such passionate fans of the book and these characters. And I hope we get a whole new audience and people fall in love with that. But I hope people get a little bit challenged by it. And, there's some things that we touch upon some real human moral dilemmas, be it from love to sort of politics and the discrimination. There's a lot of things that we hold a mirror up to, but in our own sense. And, the world's an interesting place right now. The world's been an interesting place for the past couple of years. I hope people find something they can stick on and escape into, and just enjoy and sort of latch to and be hungry for the next episodes. I mean a lot,
Absolutely. It looks amazing too. It's eye candy. I love it. It's so awesome. I can't even imagine I should be there. You filmed in Spain for this, correct?
Yes.
All the sets you see are real.
Yeah.
Like that training ground, that castle, they are across the road from each other. It is fascinating.
That is so amazing. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. People are going to be able to see Vampire Academy on Peacock September 15th. Thank you so much for your time. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.